Okay, I want to give you an idea of how I create my live rack. So this is just a stereo signal left and right coming right out of the Yamaha keyboard. So this is just a DAW. I'm using Sonar, but I also use Cubase and Pro Tools, and any DAW will do. So this is just the left-right audio coming right out of the Yamaha keyboard. It's a workstation, so it can do multiple layers and all of that stuff. Now, what I do is I take 16 MIDI tracks out of the keyboard. Let me load up all the MIDI files. And we'll hold off on the soft synths for now. So I'm taking 16 channels of MIDI out of the keyboard. As you can see, here's the there's just the raw MIDI data. Here's the right hand, two voices on the right hand, the left. Here's the rhythm tracks, all of the MIDI data coming out. What I've done with the kick and the snare is I use a MIDI filter on the data coming out of the rhythm, the channel 10 MIDI track, and so I filter just the kick and the snare, and so I can revoice the kick and the snare using a Roland TR-909 or an 808 or whatever I want to do. If I want to revoice the kick and the snare, then I can add all of that into the mix as well. And let me load up the soft synths so you can see how I revoice everything. So here's the MIDI data coming out of the soft synth, and I'm using Native Instruments. It's a Prophet 5. I like a lot of these retro keyboards, but it could be any VST that I can load into one of these DAWs. So that's the track. Now, like I said, I can use this Mini Moog or any VST. Then what I'll do is I'll freeze this track or render it. So that's going to render the track. And what it's going to do, it's going to create stereo audio out of the MIDI data. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that stereo audio data and I'm going to cut it up, and then I'm going to load that into my sampler. So what I can do is I can either recreate these VSTs or use samples of them in the Reason rack. Okay, so now I have just regular audio data that I can cut up. I can cut this phrase, I can cut this phrase, I can load it into Recycle, and I can create Rex loops out of all of this. And then, so I'll show you how I load all of that into my Reason rack. Okay, so now that we have our samples all chopped up, we can start building our Reason rack. So, of course, first of all, I start with a mixer, and then add a little reverb because I know I'll probably be needing that. And then I'll start building my combinator. And let me just toss in a little line mixer in here, and then my sampler. Okay, so now we have our sampler loaded. Let me just initialize this thing. So now it's just blank, nothing in there, completely fresh. So now I'm going to load my sample. It's right here on the desktop. So let me just toss that in there. And Okay, now I'm going to map this key. Let's see, I'll go over here and I'll just map it chromatically. So now it's mapped to just the C1 key, but I can move that to any place I want on the keyboard and trigger that particular sample there. Let's see, I want it off there, so let me I'll just move it down. I'll keep it at C1. Okay, and then I can load, well, I can load some other samples in there, but let's minimize this right now. I'll load up a Rex player. Sometimes I trigger the samples using just the NNXT as a sampler, and some other times I want to use a Rex file to keep them looping without any key presses at all. I just want to trigger one key press and then have it loop. And then at other times, I want to actually play the loops using the NNXT. So I'll create a Rex player. And then in this, here is the original phrase that we created. But as you can see, this is not going to chop up well. As I increase the sensitivity, you can see that the slices are going to be too small. There's no way to manipulate slices this size. So something like this is not going to make a good Rex loop. So I won't use that in a Rex player. But I will use this loop. This is just an acoustic guitar loop. And this will slice up nicely. And I can add in other slices over here if I want. This will play this will load up fine in a Rex. So I'll load up that loop into my Rex. And it should be in my stuff. Here it is. So let me load up that acoustic strumming. There we go. And you can hear how it's off, so I'm going to have to change. That's going to have to map. I'm going to have to match the tempo to the loop so that it plays correctly. And it's 45, I think it was. 46. That's okay. So that's fine. I can come up here to my programmer and trigger my Okay, so then on top of all of this, I can add in any other thing I want. Let me minimize these. Let me stop that loop real quick. Then on top of this, I can add in, we'll just toss in a synthesizer. We'll just toss in a Thor. This is a great polyphonic synthesizer that's capable of recreating any synthesizer out there. So, and then I can add up here on the combinator. I can set them up to trigger on whatever key I want to, or velocity sensitive, so that if I press the key harder, it's going to trigger the sample. You get the idea. And then on top of all of that, I like to make things unique for myself. So like I said, I'm into like a lot of these retro keyboards, so I like to make a backdrop that's kind of me. So I don't know, DX7, that's okay. And then so this will be one patch for my live rack, and then I assign my patch change pedal to this, and then I'm going to page through various combinators, and that's going to change all of my setups, my velocities, my split points, and so forth, so that I'm playing a combination of samples, loops, and soft synths, all from the Reason rack. I do not use the sequencer window. I'll use it during production, but most of the time I'm using a DAW, or I'm using Reason as a rewire device. So there's the main way I use Reason is as a rack, as a live rack, and then all my other editing I'll do in something else, and then load it all into Reason for live performances. So that's it. That just gives you some idea of what I go through when I'm taking, in order to build my live setups, how I work with an artist who already has his stuff recorded in some other DAW, be it Pro Tools, Ableton, or what have you.